Today we are going to talk about triangles. And we will talk about three different types of triangles. There's a right triangle, an acute triangle, and an obtuse triangle. Now I drew these out. They're not perfect, but they will be used as an example. So a right triangle, first of all, I want to just start with all three angles or vertices of a triangle always add up to 180 degrees. So, let's say this angle is a right angle, and you know that because it has this square here, and a right angle is equal to 90 degrees. So if this is 90 degrees, let's say this is 50 degrees, okay? And let's just call this angle X. I know that these three angles equal 180 degrees. So 50 plus 90 plus X has to equal 180. Okay? So the X here, we can figure out what it is by just adding these up. That would be 140 plus X equals 180. And I know that 140 plus 40, so X has to equal 40. Okay? So I just want to point out that all three angles have to equal 180. If they didn't equal 180, the triangle wouldn't close, basically, or the lines would not be straight. There would be something wrong with it. If you draw a triangle with straight lines, all of the angles are going to be 180. Okay, so let's go through the three types of triangles. So this is a right triangle. And a right triangle is a triangle that has a right angle in it. And a right angle is 90 degrees. Okay? And this box right here shows that this is 90 degrees. This is the same angle that is in a rectangle or square. And it is equal to 90 degrees. So if this equals 90 degrees, then these two angles have to also equal 90 degrees together, because 90 plus 90 equals 180, right? So all three of these equals 180, and if this one equals 90, then this angle and this angle have to equal 90 combined, right? And a right triangle only has one right angle, because if it had two right angles, it wouldn't be able to close, right? So a triangle with two right angles would be like this, and then like this. It would basically just be some sort of quadrilateral with the missing side. Like a rectangle or square with a missing side. So a right triangle only has one right angle. And that is how you know that it is a right triangle. Now an obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle. Now an obtuse angle is an angle that is greater than 90 degrees. So it's probably best not to try to estimate angles just by looking at them, because it's not proper form. Like if you need to measure an angle, you can use a protractor. But in this case, it's pretty clear that these two angles, okay, are less than this. Now, basically, let's just think about, let's say this is a 90-degree angle, okay? Now, if I make the angle more open than 90 degrees, right, So if it extends this way, this is going to be an angle that is greater than 90 degrees. Now, if I were to make the angle more closed than 90 degrees, this is an angle that is less than 90 degrees. Now, an angle that is less than 90 degrees is called acute, and an angle that is more than 90 degrees is called obtuse. So a triangle, remember, all three of these triangles, the three angles or vertices add up to 180. So an obtuse triangle has one obtuse side, or I'm sorry, one obtuse angle, and then two acute angles. Because it would be the same problem with the trying to do two right angles, right? So if it has one obtuse angle, then the other two angles have to be smaller, right? So let's just say that this angle right here is equal to 110. That means that these two angles have to add up to 70. So this could be 35 and 35, because all three of these have to add up to 180 degrees. So it's 110, 35 degrees, 35 degrees. So an obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle and then two acute. A right triangle has one right angle and then two acute. But we can get to a triangle that has three acute angles, right? No obtuse, no right angles, and that would be an acute triangle, okay? So something like this could be, let's say 50, 60, 70, okay? So these would add up to 180, and none of them are greater than 90. So this would be an acute triangle. Now an equilateral is a type of triangle where all of the sides are the same length, and the vertices would also be the same, and they would all be 60. Okay, and that is, an equilateral is an acute triangle, because none of the vertices are greater or equal to 90. Okay, so a right triangle has one right angle, two acute angles. An obtuse has one obtuse angle and two acute angles. And then an acute triangle has three acute angles. So that's just kind of a brief overview of triangles.